If I had to ask you one question, what is the biggest mistake brands make when they show up?
The biggest mistake brands make is trying to treat it as an ad and not treat their mission or their goal as an experience. We're all human. As soon as we see ads or something, we're going to move, we're going to go away. That doesn't work.
Welcome back to Brands in Play, your podcast for everything immersive marketing. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Aida Andersson, head of commercial at Chartis. Today on the show, we break down the evolution of rewarded video ads on Roblox, the alleged 30 million sale of the Roblox game Volleyball Legends, Coca-Cola's immersive partnership with 007 First Light, and John Wick loads up for PlayStation.
That's right, and for our real-time review, I'm taking you to the Clank Off, an interactive robot fight and listening party for Virgin Music Group's artist Joji.
Then later, we'll be speaking to Matthew Zanazzo, former head of Fortnite at Gamefam and host of the Creative Juice podcast, where he's been digging deep into what makes Fortnite tick and how brands should consider activating there.
And if you're enjoying Brands in Play, make sure to give us a follow. Every week, we break down how brands, platforms, and creators operate inside of gaming and immersive media.
Let's get into it.
Let's go. Aida, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. It's a new week, new opportunities, right? So how are you? Tell me everything about the UCLA Pulse conference you spoke at.
Yeah, it was awesome. So last week, I got to speak at the UCLA Pulse conference. It's an annual entertainment, sports, and technology event that is taking place at UCLA. It's hosted by the UCLA Andersson Center for Media, Entertainment, and Sports. It was cool. I got to be on this panel that was all about fandom. So it was talking about the psychology behind fandom and what value fandom brings to not only brands, but also IP holders and all of the people that kind of become obsessed over time and what that means for business. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, I love that. Was there anyone you knew from the industry there too, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I was thinking that it would be a bunch of students, but really it was a ton of industry people from all different verticals that were just really curious about the space. I met a lot of great people. Brad Manuel from Livewire was on the panel with me, which is great. He's a
Nice.
collaborator and client of ours. And then I saw Brendan and Berto from
Yeah.
Chartist.
Yeah,
They also were on a panel there.
they were. I hooked him up, mind you. I
You made it happen.
I set that up for him.
Nice. But yeah, it was dope. What else is going on with you?
Well, I'm heading to LA tomorrow and I'll be seeing you on Friday. We're gonna do this live in person. I'm very excited about that.
That's right.
Um, we'll be seeing clients, seeing the whole crew in LA. We got most of the creators there as well. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, just gonna be good. Is my heart is with LA. That sounds like something just happened. That's not what I mean, but I just love LA. It's a good place to be. Great
Yeah.
vibes.
It's unfortunately it's raining, which is a rarity right now.
I
But
know.
it only lasts for normally about a day, so you're good.
I
But
checked the weather though. It says it's gonna rain for like 2 weeks
oh
for the
god.
entirety of the time that I'm there. So,
All right.
I feel
Well,
like I'm kind of bringing it with me.
I don't appreciate that, but I am
No.
looking forward to seeing you. So
Yeah, same.
I'll see you on Friday, but let's keep it moving. Let's jump into the news. All right, so for my first story, it's all about Roblox Rewarded Video and how it's moving from awareness into conversion. So do you know much about the Roblox Rewarded Video ads?
I've worked with them a little bit and I am like aware of what they do. I haven't done a deep dive into the new updates that have come out, but I'd love to hear from you what's going on there.
Yeah, let's unpack it a little bit. And I got to give a shout out to the Max Power Roblox blog because that's where this was reported by our collaborator, Steve G. Pianco, and friend of mine. But he breaks it down. It's pretty cool. Basically, I'll explain what rewarded video is on Roblox. It's basically an opt-in video ad that's inside of Roblox, inside of games. So essentially, you're playing a game on Roblox and a little pop-up pops up in the corner and says, do you want to watch this ad? So you opt in, you click and say yes. Then like a screen pops up and you can watch the ad. And then if you complete the entire thing, then you get a reward for doing that. And so those rewards include like in-game currency, power-ups, and exclusive like items and cosmetics, like what they call free UGC on Roblox. So it's basically like sit through the ad and I'll give you something. So what's changing about this is now this ad tech product is available to all developers on the platform. So at the end of last year, it was made widely available, and now it started with sort of awareness style ads. So like Milk and Peacock and Venmo Teen, we're just rolling out ads, just making people aware of those products. But what's changing is a lot of those ads are sort of more performance style ads with CTAs built in. So we saw this with H&R Block, Disney, and Reverb, which essentially they're adding like click out links to external websites at the end of the ad, and also driving traffic to like e-commerce, Discord, and signups. And this is super important because what it is doing is essentially adding measurement performance into this advertising. So instead of just throwing it out there and not knowing, did it convert? Did people actually care or complete this ad? Now, because of the clicks, the signups, and purchases, we have attribution. So this is like a pretty big deal. And essentially, this is a signal that's showing that Roblox is becoming a more mature ad tech platform and moving towards performance and also getting closer to what is already available to advertisers on platforms like Meta and Google with that standard ad system. So my question is like, will this work? Do players like want to do this? From what we've seen, it seems like they're accepting this and it's growing. There's more and more advertisers that are coming in. But my only thing that I like to critique is that what's great about a platform like Roblox is you can make something so bespoke and so creative, and you can make it so interactive. And that's sort of the purpose of the platform. So it's
Mm.
like, why not go all the way in? But again, that's not very scalable. It's challenging.
Yeah.
So this is a great scalable solution. But I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts around this?
I mean, I think it's great that they are making the ads more sophisticated, so to speak. I mean, this is something that, well, I was going to say you and I have done, but Chartis and Sawhorse has worked on together in Fortnite, for example. We do these,
Yeah.
rewarded watch, for example. So they do work. Players do is they are used to, being rewarded for engagement.
Yes.
Now, how deep this engagement is, that's another question, touching on what you just said, because you can go really, really deep here with the whole engagement side of things. So I think that this is, like you're saying, it's great to scale. It's great to test out the platform. And I love seeing Roblox getting the ads into a more sophisticated type of, it's just good to be able to measure performance.
Yeah.
And all the brands, I don't know about you, but everyone I speak to, they all wonder about attribution. So the fact that we're now able to track that through these ads, I mean, that's a great thing. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
I feel like we'll see more of it, and it's just proof that the platform is becoming a more professional uh,
Mhm.
place for advertisers, and I think it's just going to get more and more layers to that. What store do you have next?
Well, sticking on the subject of Roblox, so here's a big one coming out of the Roblox ecosystem. I don't know if you've seen it, but Volleyball Legends, they have reportedly been acquired for $30 million.
Damn.
So I know. So to put that into perspective, the game has racked up about, almost 3 billion visits. And over the past couple of weeks, it's been averaging about 61,000 concurrent players. The session time is sitting around 11 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been doing really well. So Blocks Media first reported the deal on X, saying that Double Black Capital helped make it happen. And then since then, Volleyball Legends has shown up on Double Black's website, and an account called Double Black Cap has appeared in the group's analytics. So there are a few solid signs that this is the real deal. Now, if this gets confirmed, this would land somewhere in the top 3 to 5 like biggest game sales in Roblox history. That's huge.
Massive.
Um, it is massive. It's hard to like rank exactly where, since a lot of the deals never go public.
Right.
But there's a big benchmark that we do know about, and that's Welcome to Bloxburg, which sold for about $100 million. These Numbers are
to
huge. It was acquired by Embracer Group through their subsidiary Coffee Stain Studios. But still, I mean, $30 million for Volleyball Legends. That's crazy for a volleyball game on Roblox. So M&A on Roblox isn't new, but so games have, been changing hands for years. But what is different about this deal is who's buying it and the size of the checks they're writing. So
right.
they're no longer talking about, small community level acquisitions anymore. We have institutional capital stepping in. I'm really curious
Yeah,
to hear
like
what
the
your thoughts
suits.
are on this. Yeah, the
Yeah.
suits. I mean, adult money here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it really sheds light on the value of these games. They
Mm,
have so many users, and if you can properly sort of, monetize that, then you can
mhm.
actually turn these into cash cows, but just from, like, a marketing standpoint, that's just so many eyeballs to get in front of. So these games hold a ton of value, and I think the rest of the world is it's not just Roblox dev studios buying each other. Now it's like the business world looking at this being like, "Oh, this is value. I could acquire one of these games." I think we're just gonna see a ton more of it over time.
I think so too. You're also predicting a bit into my hit myths bet there, Nick. But yeah,
Sorry,
I
don't
agree
wanna
with
step
you.
on your toes. I'll save
No.
that for the end. So my next story is all about how Coca-Cola has an upcoming collaboration with the new James Bond video game First Light. It looks super dope.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
basically an action adventure Bond game from IO Interactive. And did you ever play GoldenEye back in the day on the Nintendo 64? Or was that
No,
before your time? I'm dating myself.
that you are dating yourself. It's a
That
little before my time, but not too far away. I was just never we didn't have these type of games at home.
well,
I
you
wish
missed
we
out.
did though.
That
I
was
did.
quite a banger. That, like, defined my childhood. It was one of those games that just kind of that everyone was talking about. But that's my, connection with Bond. But this game, obviously brand new, coming out. It's cool. It's the origin story of the young James
Um,
Bond, so how he earned his 00 status, which is cool. Comes out
that's
in
cool.
May. It's gonna be available on PS5, Xbox, PC, and Switch. But what I thought was interesting about this title is it has so many brand partnerships just built into it. You're talking about like Aston Martin, Jaguar, Omega, Nvidia, Leica, and Coca-Cola. And I think with the way they're weaving all these brands in is in the form of product placement that they in the same way that those brands kind of show up in the Bond films, they're showing up in the video games. So that's not innovative, but it's consistent, which I think is cool. But what I like about Coca-Cola's immersive marketing strategy here is they've done a few things in this integration. So they took the can and they've worked it into the game. So there's all these cutscenes where it's going to be kind of like seamlessly integrated, and he's going to be drinking the Coke in there. And then at the same time, they've are making a limited edition Coca-Cola can in the real world that's all branded for the game. That's a collector's item. And then there's a QR code on that can. So when you scan it, it takes you to a site where you can unlock rewards that you can redeem inside of the physical game. So exclusive items, skins, outfits, and even optional missions. And it's tied to this prize incentive as well with over 70,000 prizes where they're going to give out like Bond themed Xbox consoles and all kinds of like IRL stuff. So, and I think why this matters for brands is it just feels like a really great immersive marketing campaign because it has authentic integration. You know, the ad is not going to interrupt. It's not like drink Coca-Cola now because it's so great. It's just there. It's experiential marketing. So you're going to have these fans actually spending time interacting with the Coca-Cola brand in by scanning the QR code. So that's more engagement. Added value, the customer's walking away with something,
Mhm.
instantly inside of the game that they're playing. And then if they win, then they can win those physical prizes. And so it's just a great, in my opinion, example of like a modern sort of brand storytelling. It's a good
Yeah.
example of immersive marketing. I don't know. Your thoughts?
I mean, I always love it when, the customers get something, when there's that
Yes.
added value
Value.
to it and digital meets physical. I love that. So, and I also do love that we're seeing traditional marketing, you know, kind of spilling over into what we call immersive marketing at the moment. So it's that product placement, but in a different way. So I love this. I think it's super interesting, and I'm excited to see what's gonna come after this.
I want to check that game out. But what's
Yeah.
our last story?
So, I'm so, destroyed by The Office 'cause anytime I say the word Saber, I just think of The Office, but that's not what this is about. So, Sony and Saber Interactive, they just officially revealed a new John Wick AAA game for PlayStation 5 during their February State of Play event, and you are happy about this, I can tell.
Yes. Well, I know our friend Erica from Lionsgate worked on it, so
Oh, she
it's
did?
yeah.
Cool.
I was just texting with her, but that looks it's awesome,
I
right?
mean, she worked I it does. She works on the most, like, fun stuff, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Good
I
for her.
mean, yeah, there's some cool IP coming out of Lionsgate, no doubt.
So, in my understanding, it doesn't have an official title or release date yet. Maybe you know more than me there, but the
Mhm.
team says it's a single player action game. It's built in close collaboration with Lionsgate, so our friend Erica, and director Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves himself.
Nice.
Um, with Reeves returning to voice and model the character. The story is original, but it sits with the established, John Wick timeline, and the goal is to bring that trademark gun fu combat and cinematic world to life in a way that feels like stepping into the movies themselves. I mean, I'm gonna ask you still. I can see that you're excited about this, but what do you think about this?
I think it's cool. I mean, it's obviously John Wick is one of those IPs that works so well inside of gaming. It's like just from a brand standpoint, it's so easy to translate. I'm curious to see the amount of like cinematic influence in the game itself. Like are they going to do anything with that? Is there an interactive storytelling? I don't know. It's very unclear about all of that, but just as a fun game and figuring out how to get IRL sort of entertainment IP into gaming. It's just looks like a great example of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, excited to see more. So, with that said, let's move on to the real time review this week. I'm excited to hear what you got for us.
It's a trippy one. Let's
It's a
go.
let's go.
So this week I'm gonna be talking about the Clank Off. It's the new Joji album listening party by Virgin Music Group. So one of our clients at Virgin had reached out and told me about this, and it was in LA. So I was like, I have to go. Get me in, and he hooked it up, which is awesome. So this can be looked at as an immersive marketing activation in Los Angeles. Ultimately it's a interactive robot fight and listening party, and it was
That is
all designed.
trippy.
It's trippy. I'm gonna go into detail like what that actually is, but
Yeah.
it was a pop-up event, and so the whole point of this is to promote the new Joji album, "Piss in the Wind," and it was like, have you been to a listening party before?
I have, I have.
Yeah.
I'd love to go
So
to other ones, so you feel free to invite me to the next one if
no doubt. But just
okay.
like that, this is a listening party, but it's like to another level. One that this
Mm,
is the most interesting, bizarre listening party I've ever gone to. And then, are you familiar with Jochi? Do you know that musician?
I wanna say yes, but I'm not.
Because we're
I'm
too
not.
old. But
Yeah,
this guy,
probably.
he's pretty dope. He's a Japanese Australian singer songwriter, rapper, and producer.
Mm,
He was originally a viral YouTube personality turned musician, and his music is cool. It's kind of like down tempo alt R&B, lo-fi trip hop. It's unique. I definitely encourage the listeners, if they don't already know him, to check him out. We step into the space, and it's essentially like walking into like a fight club, like an illegal boxing type of situation. Like you walk in there, it's super dark, all the lights are flashing, and there's these robots like battling it out, and then these huge screens that are like projecting like what's going on. And you've got MCs on the mic like screaming at us, explaining like what happened to the robot, who's winning, all this stuff. And so it's in partnership with the UFB, which is the Ultimate Fighting Bots. And this
mhm.
is like apparently a thing. This is a thing that travels around. But
It sounds
essentially,
like a thing.
it's a thing, and it's a vibe, I gotta say. Um,
Yeah.
but it blends robotics, gaming, and esports all together. And
Oh
what's
my god.
crazy is that the robots themselves are controllable by remote controls. So the audience can actually control the robots and make them fight,
Oh,
which
oh my
is
god.
pretty It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
And what
Interactive.
it's definitely interactive. And what they do is they're filming it the whole time and they're live streaming it out all across socials. So it's not just the IRL event; it's actually being seen by all the enthusiasts and fans around the world. I go in there. I'm there with Gino Roy, who is a past guest art director at Sawhorse, one of my buddies. We're in there wandering around, and it really felt this fun energy. It felt like this excitement, and it the music was cool because it was the theme was like weaved in. His
Mm,
music is kind of like dark and like techie, and it
mm,
was a good fit for this type of like engagement and this like robot fighting. Um, and so I'll focus on the good. Definitely was exciting. It was definitely fun. The theme was consistent, and I love the fact that it got not only a great audience to engage and focus, but also to sort of consume this externally across the entire internet. So got good reach. The bad, I would say, is there was a little bit of a lack of diversity in the fighting. So it was the same two type of humanoid robots that were like fighting each other, and then they get knocked down. And they would like reset it. What I would like to see is like more diversity in those robot fighters. Like
mm.
I'd like to see like one of those dog ones, fight another dog one, or a human one fight a dog one, or I
Yeah.
don't know. It just got a little like repetitive as we kind
Mm.
of went through it. And then lack of interactivity. It sounds very interactive because you can control the robots, but they only let a few people control. That not everyone got to do that. So as a fan in the audience, I couldn't really interact with anything. Like I didn't walk away with anything. I had a fun experience, but like I
Yeah.
didn't get any free Joji, you know, trinket or download or something, which I think could have been, you know,
That would
better.
have taken it to, like, the next level if
But if
just
you
that feeling, leaving with
yes.
something in your hands or, whatever, that just makes you feel like, "Okay, I got something out of this too." Not just the experience, but I did like, a gift. That does make a
Yeah.
difference.
Well, also you think about like the marketing funnel, right? Like I went there,
Yeah,
I engaged with the robots, I had fun in the experience, and then I learned about Joji, and then I'm leaving. If I would have had that thing that I could like maybe put in my car or whatever, like the Joji would stick with me longer. So
for
whatever
sure.
for next time.
But it's
Lastly,
like they
yeah,
say, oh, sorry, I'm now
no, go for it.
interrupting you. But it's like that last thing that you leave with. It's like when you're shopping at
Right,
the mall or whatever. If the clerk is rude to you, that's what you remember, even though you had like a
right.
great experience. So you want to leave on an,
On a high note.
up on a high
Yes,
note. Exactly.
agreed.
Sorry, I'm not gonna like dwell on that
No,
anymore.
no
Was
worries.
it
And
innovative?
I would say yes, it is innovative. This isn't the first time there's been these robot parties events. I mean, obviously the UFB is like a brand, it's an ongoing thing. So it popped up here, but it is pretty new. Most people have not gone to a robot battle before, so it does feel innovative. And if brands want to leverage this now, timing is good. And it's one of those things that grabs your attention instantly. Like when you see it, you're like, what is happening right now? Because everyone's seen video of these robots, like walking around and doing stuff, but you rarely see them like fighting each other. So like when you walk into the room, you just can't look away, and that's good marketing, in my opinion. Especially when it's hard to cut through and connect with audiences. But I had this thought, and I was like, "This feels so primal," and it reminds me of like internal like human rage that's like natural for humanity, and it reminded me of like the gladiators. How we used to
Mm.
do all this crazy stuff,
Yeah.
like have people
Yeah.
kill each other, have animals kill people, and like all of that. It felt like that, when you walk in because you have these beings, which basically like we are more elevated than them, and we're making them fight. And it felt a little dystopian. And I just kind of, my brain immediately went to like, well, what does this look like in the future? Are we going to see these really custom, crazy, strong, athletic robots killing each other? Like, think about like WWE. You could imagine a world where these are like basically robot athletes. They're fighters. They fight to the death, and they have full AI personalities. They're larger than life characters. They're like deadly. and they have followings and they have to go in the ring and do this. I just wonder, like, do they wake up one day when we have AGI and they're like, okay, humans, you made us fight all that time. Guess what? Now we're
Yeah,
putting you
yeah,
guys in the
it's
ring.
your turn.
So
No, I
that's
don't
a
want
dark
that.
thought. That's a dark
It's
thought
a
to leave
very
our
dark
listeners
thought. I
with.
think we should end it there. You know what, Nick? Thank
Let's
you
just
for that.
let's end on a low note.
Yeah, let's we're continuing the loop here. No, you know what? Thank you for that. That's very, that was interesting to say the least,
I would
and
highly
and fun to
recommend it.
talk
If it
about.
comes to your town, I think just check it out because it's one of these things you have to experience.
I wanna experience it in LA though. Like, you know, love America and the things you guys come up with. So I have the most fun there too. Tell me the next time it's going on in LA and I'll pop over.
I
That's what
will.
we'll do. Well, thanks so much for that, Nick. Now let's go to our interview with Matt Zanazzo from Creative Juice.
Let's go. Matt Zanazzo is a UEFN expert and immersive marketing pioneer who's helped some of the world's biggest brands show up inside of Fortnite in ways that players actually want to engage with. As the founder of Catalyst Studios and former head of Fortnite at Gamefam, he's driven over 750 million plays through collaborations with Epic Games, Lego, Disney, Samsung, Puma, and much more. He's also the host of one of my favorite podcasts, Creative Juice, where he unpacks the creativity, business, and strategy shaping the future of Fortnite and interactive entertainment. Matt, we're stoked to have you. Welcome to the show.
Oh man, thank you. What an intro. Wow. Yeah.
I can be your
That's
hype man. You can hit
no,
me up whenever.
dude. Thank you, man. I will have to hit you up. I might need a recording of that intro, but no, super happy to be here. And same. I'm a huge fan of this podcast. I'm really hyper focused more in the Fortnite space, but of course, I've worked for one of the largest, Roblox
Yep.
studios, and I'd love to stay up to date what's going on there. A lot of that stuff rolls over to other UGC platforms as well. So you guys help me a lot. So thank you.
Nice. Likewise. And I think, I've been listening to your podcast for a while. Recommend it to all of our listeners,
Thank
especially those who work in marketing and want to understand like the way Fortnite works, the way UEFN functions. It's a huge value. So props to you for continuing to run that. But let's jump into the first question. I just want to talk about the state of the industry of advertising inside of games. I would say you're a hardcore expert on Fortnite. Obviously, you also keep up with the other platforms. It's 2026. What's working? What isn't working? What is your take on advertising inside of games right now?
I mean, it is one of the biggest marketing drivers right now for Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I mean, there's really no better way to advertise, I think, in this current state. And just simple reasons is you can create advertising an actual experience for players, and you can actually make them feel something.
Yep.
Unlike the legacy media we have where you get your commercial, kids get on their phone or fast forward, whatever it is. That maybe it's not even generally not even kids anymore on on those. They're all on games or short form content or YouTube. So how do you attract that attention? And currently, that is games. It really is. I love how and we've seen it, and we've seen the evolution of ads, I think, showing up in games. A lot of logo slaps early on, a lot of
Yeah.
traditional type ad
Yeah.
marketing. They've tried to done in games, but now people they're getting smart and they're
And
understanding
creative.
exactly creative and bringing really smart and fun ways that doesn't feel like I'm actually in a brand experience. It feels like I'm in a normal gaming experience, and I'm just subliminally getting that ad or whatever that mission or statement you're trying to get out there. So yeah, I mean, it really is just superior, and I think we've seen some insane growth in UGC marketing in the last few years, and I don't see that slowing down, anytime soon.
That's awesome. So what do you think is working within the space or, you know,
Yeah.
um, experiences, own ones or integrations, like creator partnerships? What do you see working there?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think all of it's working to some extent. Some works better than others, or some are different levers depending on your marketing campaign or what you're trying to do. Integrations, we've definitely seen the last year or two. There's definitely been a lot more integrations for obvious reasons. It's a built-in audience. You know what you're getting. You can kind of let the ad agency, the marketing agency, whatever, know that hey, you're gonna get these amount of impressions and you're usually going to hit those metrics. So it's just huge. But you know what? Bespoke games, we've seen some take off as well. So that is still a huge lever. It's definitely a lot harder. And I can dive into more how to make, you know, I always say this is like success is never guaranteed in this business, but you can increase your chance of success by doing the right things and working with the right
Yes.
people.
The
So,
education is so important, right? It's just like this is not the standard media landscape where it's like, I can
yes.
make a great piece of creative and I can buy the time and I can make sure the people see it and that's gonna work. This is a totally different beast.
Yes, and then, lastly, I think something especially on Fortnite we're seeing is, that creator partnerships a lot lately is
Mhm.
been a huge driver, and for a few simple reasons, especially specifically in Fortnite. Fortnite, everyone knows Fortnite as Battle Royale first, right? So people come in and play the game, and we have constraints in Fortnite where you have to use the Fortnite character, you have to use their
Mhm.
weapons, you have to use their items and things like that. So we don't have control of that as making games. So players, already kind of know that psychology. And so when you're working with a team that's already had make hit games in this platform, they understand that. They're not someone that's trying to recreate that. So that's really powerful. I always use this example to try to to let people know, like try to understand it because it's sometimes hard. Like, hey, this is a AAA studio. They made huge hits over here. They come into UGC and they might not have that success because they just don't understand the player psychology. For instance, like Fortnite Battle Royale, there's rifts, right? You take rifts, they teleport you places. Well, that's kinda like a door. You think you put a door here and people would know to open a door. But in Fortnite, sometimes it's a rift. It's a little teleporter, and that's like what they know as a door to get to the place they need. And people that's has changed a little bit. Sure, door works. I'm not trying to say it doesn't, but just an example of just those things. Working with teams that already know this space is just a huge plus. They can save you a lot of those headaches. And then on top of that, now we have communities and ways in Fortnite's platform where we can follow creators, get alerts, things like that inside game, which is within the last few months is brand new. And now those followers, especially if you're working with the right team, some of them have hundreds of thousands to millions of followers. When they publish a new game, they got an instant audience to go check that game out.
Agreed. I mean, I think the reality is like this is just expertise and knowledge because each one of these platforms is so specific. If you're trying to advertise there, you actually really need to learn and you need to understand. And it's not super easy and they're all very different. So that I agree. And that kind of brings us to the next question about your podcast, Creative Juice. That's what I love about it is like you bring in all these top dev experts and you grill them about why they designed the game in the ways they did, why it's performing, how it's performing. But I want to ask you, tell our listeners little bit more about Creative Juice, and then, what is your goal with this podcast, and then why are you so passionate about this space in general?
Yeah. So great question. And so, yeah, I mean, Creative Juice actually started that like 5 years ago. And I think it was just too early. I didn't have enough, my network wasn't as large. I mean, it was, but it's just like people weren't like comfortable on camera as much. And it was great. And podcasts, as you know, if anyone's listening, they are very rewarding, but very sensitive, like time consuming and
Yes,
very
sir.
hard. And you have to be consistent. And it's weird, like podcast growth, like it takes months, years. But once you finally get a new listener, they go back and listen to your old catalogs. And then so it's just a
Incremental.
weird, yeah, I mean, I have, I'm one of the largest UEFN Fortnite influencers. I've grown lots of social media channels and, so I'm speaking from that lens and if podcasts are difficult, but I love it. I basically started it because I have these conversations, like I meet you at events and I'm talking to creators a lot. I've just been in this ecosystem from the start. So I've created a bunch of relationships with some of the top developers and leads in this ecosystem. And I have these conversations sometimes daily. And I just wanted a place where I could share these conversations and people can learn from them and have something to take away. UGC is still very, I mean, kind of new, and there's a lot more eyes coming in these days, and a lot new devs, and so it's just a medium for me to kind of share a lot of tips and tricks that I already know, and also it helps me, just
That's a good
like
point.
keeps me like talking to leaders in this space and have this, it kind of, and it's a dedicated hour where I can have this person that we're all busy and just hit them with questions. And yeah, it's overall, it's been a great experience. I've brought on like lawyers in UGC. People have learned a lot just from that side of things. People who acquire games. So it's not just like strictly Fortnite developers. I also bought like the top Roblox cosmetics, the person. So, and I'm trying to actually kind of shift the focus a little bit on Creative Juice to more of a UGC that'll be coming this middle of this year. But yeah, honestly, that's just kind of it. Just that the goal of that is to continue to grow it. It's kind of a different type of podcast. It's more of like a one-on-one. I like to just like really have a personal conversation with them and to the point of how they created their success and how other creators or studios can repeat that.
I love that. Also, speaking about, UGC, the UGC space and the Fortnite and UEFN audience that, probably also listen to your podcast. But if you focus a little bit on that, like, can you talk about the Fortnite, demographics? Like, are brands able to target segments? What brands do you think are a good fit for the platform? I think I realized that was three questions. So maybe we should
Yeah,
start with
no,
like, can you
it's
talk a
fine.
little bit more about the demographics? I just went on with it.
No. This is great. I'll try to remember, but yeah, like this, I'm sure you'll keep me honest. But yeah, so when it comes to demographics, I think for Fortnite specifically, we have when it comes to the data, it's definitely a little bit limited, right? It's definitely not public. A lot of the information is not public. There's some sites that will give us some public information, but it's definitely Gen Z, Gen Alpha, young 20s. We can't get data on the younger side of things. I can say, like I said, I was a social for my social media presence, it's mostly Fortnite creative. It's definitely there is a big younger audience. Also look at like Steal the Brain Rot, right? I'm sure that's a much younger skew than, 18 and over. I'm sure there's some there too, but
What's
there's
the daily
definitely
active users on the platform right now?
the daily active user. You know what? You hit me. I haven't looked that up today. What is it?
Putting him on the spot, putting me on the
I
spot,
think it's
putting
like
us all on the spot.
900. I'm gonna say 900,000.
Take a note on that, Matt. Next time we talk to Nick, we need to have our
You
numbers
never know
straight.
what I'm gonna ask.
No. I mean, I think yeah, so, like, right now, yeah, I mean, the 24-hour peak for CCUs, I mean, daily, we're about 1.1 million.
But speaking of those demographics, and you mentioned Steal the Brain Rot, I mean, the brain rot phenomenon in general does have a younger audience. So we can also look at those type of general stats in order to, put one on one together. So I think that makes a lot of sense, what you were saying.
So we kind of covered targeting, but let's move over to the measurement and success. Like,
Yeah.
what sort of KPIs or what sort of things would you recommend brands focus on if they're going to do a campaign, and what's realistic on this platform?
Yeah, so, I mean, KPIs, I'm gonna be looking for plays, your CCUs, that's something I'm gonna definitely wanna know. I wanna know your retention, your D1, your D7. And engagement, what's your engagement? And these all differ though, depending on the genre your game is either integrated or the game you've created. So if you're in a competitive game mode, your average playtime is gonna be a little less in the 25s, but yeah, still a brain rot's playtimes, hour and a half, something insane. And same with retention. You're gonna have much lower retention in the competitive space. Or not much lower, I should say. You still like the topper games are probably getting 30% retention. And when you create a brand new game as well, those numbers are um hard to, I guess, analyze because there's just like such an influx of new players. Hopefully, that's the play. Hopefully you have that. That it is hard to read and compare yourself to the top games.
You
But
haven't created a consistent audience, right? It's
yes,
so you're testing and learning at that point
exactly.
still.
That's better said. Exactly. But and then on retention, you know what I mean? I think still a brain rot's like 60%, something insane, 60, 70. I've never seen that much retention on a game before. And then generally on you know, the 20% retention D1, a little lower on D7.
So in your opinion, taking all of that into consideration, what are the most successful branded experiences and why? Is there a common
Yeah.
thread to why those projects made it, so to speak?
Yeah, so I mean, one of my favorites, and it's an old one, but was TurboTax. This was a few years ago, and that's like one of my favorite brand bespoke games. And it was right around the time Fortnite Tycoon started taking off. So it was just perfectly done. It was just like a tycoon that you were kind of doing your taxes, and learning about taxes, but not really. You're still playing a tycoon. You're still playing Fortnite, and it was just done just it was just very well. That's like a perfect example of taking, think when someone comes to you, say you're the studio, say, "Hey, how are we gonna integrate taxes into a game and make it successful?"
That's a
That's one of
challenge.
those where that's okay. We got our work cut out for us, and they crushed it. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't think there's any brand off limits. I mean, other than not suitable for work or maybe really gory in terms of service things, yeah, obviously. But that was one recently. Disney did Percy Jackson. They did an integration, and they worked with Team Gauntlet, who has one a very successful like kind of open world RPG type game, and that had great numbers. I thought that was a great integration. It looked beautiful. Another one that I more recent. I'll stick with some of the recent ones that we've seen is D&D, Dungeon and Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a very interesting campaign. It was actually very smart, and what they did was they didn't just make one game and try it. They reached out to a lot of the top creators in the space who's have plays and said, "Hey, we want to do a D&D 1v1. We want to do a box fight." And like I said earlier, working with those teams that already have followers is going to really increase your chance of success. But what the biggest breakout hit, I think, from D&D was their work with TerraVision. So TerraVision, they make Havoc Hotel, and so they
Hmm.
did a roguelike with D&D. I think it's been holding 500 average CCU still today, which
Nice.
is very, very impressive. I love that collab. And I think the last one was Shelter. Like, let's talk about Shelter. I mean, that
All
was a
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was incredible. I think you guys got to home bar. I mean, we're again, it's really hard sometimes to create a bespoke game, one, and also integrate movie media and try to drive place for in movie entertainment. And it was perfect. Jason Statham, a roguelike, it fit right in with a popular game mode right now on Fortnite that always drives good retention and always drives good engagement. So that was just a very smart fit. And you hit home bar, you hit discovery, and it popped off, had good organic growth. I would be very proud with that, with all those brand activations on Fortnite.
Wow. Well, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
Charters
Yeah.
and Sawhorse worked on that project, and you acknowledging it and giving props goes a long way in my book. So
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
thank you.
no problem,
For
man. I
sure.
give credit where it's due.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's talk about the opposite. There are a lot of brands that show up and it just bombs. They're like, "What happened? I built my island and I have 5 CCU, if that."
Yeah.
Wha- if I'd ask you one question, what is the biggest mistake brands make when they show up?
Ooh, the biggest mistake. I think the biggest mistake brands make is trying to treat it as an ad and not treat their mission or their goal as an experience. So how can we take what we're trying to share or what we're trying to promote and natively put it inside of Fortnite or whatever UGC platform that doesn't make players feel like it's just logo slaps ads? Because we're all human. As soon as we see ads or something, we're gonna move. We're gonna go away. It's just that doesn't work. And like I said earlier, it's just you want to recreate a feeling. I want to have a good feeling of when I play this game because that's gonna help me remember that brand even more later down the road. So I think that's a big one first. I mean, I can talk about this subject for a long time, but like I think I I I I think another one is working with the right team. There are budget teams out there. There are teams that, are going to offer you low prices, but do they have success? Have they done this before? How are they working? And it's really tough unless you're really, like myself, like us, where I'm really ingrained into the system and I've seen some of the upcoming creators and stuff. It's really worth its weight in gold to work with a team that already has success and now already has followers on the platform because it's just going to really increase the chance. I mean, and then picking the right teams. I'll be quick. Marketing is another one. That's one a lot of people get wrong.
Yeah.
I can go more in depth on that, and then live ops. Live ops is another one.
Yeah.
A lot of brands just want to, this is the date we want to publish, and they just
Uh,
hope everything works out. And Fortnite, especially a lot, all platforms look
require
like
work.
updates matters. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Consistent updates matters, and it's what the like Discovery is looking at. Is this game getting love? Is it getting consistent updates? And it's going to reward you for those things on the platform.
And speaking of the platform of Fortnite, every week UEFN is getting more features. It feels like every week,
Yeah.
more tools, and it's looking more and more like Roblox in terms of an advanced UGC gaming platform. What's your take on these changes? Do you see, the platform moving in the right direction?
Yeah, so this is a tough question for many reasons, but so UEFN is fairly new. It'll be 3 years in March next month. And if you look at Roblox, it's what, 18 years, something
Almost
crazy,
Yeah.
20, yeah.
20 years or something, right? So it's still very, very new. And the other thing people I think about forget about on UEFN is, I don't, for lack of a better term, it's like a bastardized system of Fortnite Creative 1.0 and Unreal Engine 5.
Mhm.
So they had to like kind of take both two systems, make it into one. And so they have to work, like putting what the cart before the horse kind of deal, right? So it's really hard. I can't imagine the difficulty of trying to manage a system like that. So, take that into accord. The other thing to remember is like, and it's public, is UEFN is moving into Unreal Engine 6 next year. And so we're going to be all going into this insanely most powerful engine within a year as well. So these new updates, they're awesome. We all love new updates, but there are things I think our platform they really need to focus on. And one is iteration time. It takes 20 minutes to an hour sometimes if you push a change to kind of test it. They really need to work on that. Another thing is updates. So when they push updates, we don't have any opt-in options right now for
Right.
updates on UEFN.
And it can
So if
break
they
games.
update your game, it potentially could break your game, and you have to go fix it. There's sometimes they're not going to fix it for you. And then overall, I mean, if you think about it, UE6 is coming, so we're pretty soon. I mean, Fortnite's going to have the most powerful engine on the universe to be able to create with.
Where do you think Fortnite is going? It's, currently kind of a pop culture phenomenon, but do you think Fortnite will be relevant in 5 to 10 years? Or what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, Fortnite's been relevant for 8, 9 years already. They've really broken the barriers. I mean, people forget they're the reason there's cross-platform play. Before if you had a PlayStation, you had to play with other PlayStation people. I mean,
Great point.
they've they've like not only they've grown the gaming ecosystem on top of everything else, right? And everyone the cultural hits they have, all the skins, and they brought in for 8 years. All these players have been collecting amazing, huge concerts that people, will never forget. I'll never forget my first concerts in Fortnite. I mean, so it's just like my first win in Fortnite. I'll like those feelings that will never go away. And I think that that's just such a cultural phenomenon. And Fortnite always has these huge levers because of that. They can go get Kim Kardashian, put him in the skin, drive huge marketing ploy. I mean, they always have those levers. They can always make new, cool, fun game modes. So I think Fortnite will always be around in that sense. But Tim's vision is the metaverse, and we've seen Steal the Brain Rot was one of the first games to come in and actually overtake Battle Royale. So
Yeah.
it is possible. Sure, it came from Roblox, but that's another debate. But it just shows it is possible, and that will happen. They're bringing Unity in this year as well. Fortnite. So I mean, they're always staying kind of on top of things, maybe ahead of things sometimes. And I think it just goes to show what the main vision is, and he's even, I think, even publicly tweeted to him about to Bazooka, like, bring in Roblox, so it's like do one big metaverse, get them all on one platform kind of thing. And will that happen? Probably not, but maybe one day, who knows? But I think Fortnite in 5 to 10 years, we're definitely going to see a lot more creator made experiences. It'll probably be a lot more like Roblox, and yeah, I mean, I think it will be around if I was a betting man, but yeah, I hope so. There's I really do hope so at the end of the day.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you definitely have an optimistic view, and I think I share that. And
Yeah.
yeah, excited for the future. But Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're big fans of what you're doing over at Creative Juice and the impact that you're making on the Fortnite ecosystem at large. So yeah, We appreciate you.
Oh, Sam, thank you for having me.
Right on. Let's go back to the show. Yo, that was a great interview with Matt. What did you think about that?
I think it was awesome having him on. You can immediately tell that he's so genuine about the industry. He cares about the space. I think what really stands out is how well he also understands the community, how they think, what they care about, and how they actually play. So I think that kind of insight is rare and it
Yeah.
shows with Matt. What was your take on our interview with him?
I think, yeah, I mean, I always appreciate his point of view. I think the one thing that I kind of left with was that like knowledge is power on these
Mm,
platforms. Like you really have to understand how games work, and you really have to understand the communities that are on these platforms if you want to connect with them. And if you don't, everything will fail. Your marketing campaign will fail. It just will not connect. And what I appreciate about him is he goes so deep into talking to those developers, learning like what makes the platform work, what makes these games work. So if you're on a marketing team and you want to understand Fortnite, it is a great place to pop in and listen to.
for sure.
Cool. Well, let's move on and go to the final segment of the show. And I think it's your turn this week. So I'm curious. Let's go to hit, miss, and bet.
My hit this week is around one of our new segments. If the Volleyball Legends deal gets confirmed, I think, that really cements Roblox as a true wealth creation engine. Don't you think? I mean,
Yes.
we've seen acquisitions before, but if they're starting to happen consistently, that's the signal. So this is leverage on leverage. So build a digital asset inside an existing digital ecosystem, tap into their distribution, and then walk away with $30 million. And that's not just a win, that's generational wealth from a volleyball game. I mean, I think that's a pretty big hit, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a massive hit. And I think what I'm seeing is like just Roblox and these UGC gaming platforms sort of being in the same conversation as like AAA. You know, that's the new thing. That's like this game is so valuable that we will spend and invest a lot of money in it. And it came from made by a smaller group of people on a UGC gaming platform, right? So
Yep.
definitely think that's a hit and definitely think we'll see more.
So moving on to this week's miss, um, influencer marketing has obviously helped AI video company Higgsfield hit $300 million in annual run rate in just 11 months. But misleading marketing tactics and a social media strategy based on shock value has led to
Mm,
backlash among creators. So the miss isn't that, Higgsfield is growing, it's how it's growing. The startup's breakneck virality strategy leaned on shock value and then controversial content, which unfortunately, led to racist videos, misleading marketing, and payment dispute with creators, raising a serious ethical and reputational problem there. I don't, expect this deal to be a one-off. It's happened before, and deals like this, are rarely just likely getting started. It doesn't feel great that these type of things are happening. So huge miss on their end this week. Do you have any thoughts on this, Nick, or
yeah.
opinions?
I mean, I think authenticity always is the best way to go. And if you're not authentic and you're just trying to game the system and you're trying to play on, uh, you know, things that just get people riled up or, uh, to engage, it's just not, yeah, you can get clicks and you get engagement, but it's not
Mm,
real. And it's synthetic and it's ultimately could backfire and turn into negativity. So that's a
yeah,
mess.
yeah, for sure. Now, my bet this week, it's a bit more fun. I want to tie this back to your bet last week, actually.
Okay.
So you were talking about how the best way for brands to advertise on UGC gaming platforms might still be figured out. So my bet this week is what that actually might look like in the future.
Mm,
Um, like you've talked, to many people about, and we've spoken about, is that Roblox isn't just a gaming platform anymore. It's becoming like the dominant social engagement platform for the next generation. And, any media plan that ignores that is missing where attention truly
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
So the scale of that is pretty hard to ignore. You have over 1 billion daily views of Roblox content across YouTube and TikTok. Around 20% of all gaming content on TikTok is Roblox related. And then Roblox creators are the number one gaming influencers on YouTube and TikTok. Um, Roblox is the most watched gaming category on TikTok. That's pretty huge right
Yep.
there. So if you look at that, this isn't just gameplay, it's culture. And Roblox, doesn't behave like traditional social platforms. So you don't just run ads, you participate, just like we talked about before. I don't think the opportunity is interruption, it's imitation. So brands that nudge the platform's native creator language can unlock, outsized impact with far less competition and crowded, TikTok trends. That's just, my bet.
I love that bet. I think
It's a
that
long bet.
that's no, it's smart. And yeah, the cat's eye thing, that Gap cat's eye thing, like, broke the internet. And what's crazy is that was not made by Gap. That was just made by some creators, a fan that wanted to do it, and it cut through and had so much value. So I think you're right. And I'm very curious to see what other activations or video content that's created, is branded, that we see over the next, like, year. I would say we're gonna
Yeah.
see uh, more examples like that sooner than we think.
Mm, yeah, I think so too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, that was a good hit miss bet. Thank you for that, Aida. That is a wrap on this week's episode. We want to thank all the listeners for tuning in. What do we have going on next week?
I'm really excited for next week because we have someone I know really, really well coming on. Brian Ryerson. He's the Senior Director, Digital Strategy at USTA, United States Tennis Association. And we will be having that, well, you and I will be IRL at Sawhorse's offices in LA. And Brian will be calling in via link. But still, I'm really, really excited about that episode and that interview and, seeing you in person again. So I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be a great episode. But listeners, make sure to like and follow so we can keep bringing you the latest on immersive marketing. Edward, please read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Nikhil and Aida Andersson, our show today was produced and edited by myself, Edward Regu, alongside our creative producer, Dr. Giovanni Casimiro. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.